So the other big story towards the end of the week was Qantas, which has been searching for a game changer for its loss-making international wing, and it may have found it. The alliance with Emirates announced on Thursday will see it move its Europe-bound hub from Singapore to Dubai and break the long-established partnership with British Airways. So I spoke to Qantas chief Alan Joyce at his Sydney headquarters. Alan Joyce, will the deal with Emirates help take Qantas's international division into profitability?
Yes, I think the international business last year lost over $450 million. $100 million of that was because of the industrial action. So the gap was around $350 million. We've already, with all of the other transformation items we've announced, have come up with $300 million in savings and benefits before this Emirates deal. So now we clearly see a path through to this business breaking even in financial year 15. We said from August 14 onwards, and it's on the path to get to its cost of capital with the domestic business. So we're very happy that this is a big step in the right direction for Qantas International.
In fact, do you think that Qantas International can make the same sort of profit margins that Emirates does?
Well, we look at our Qantas businesses as a group, and we do want to make sure that Qantas International goes back to profits, but it and domestic together recovers its cost of capital. And once we get there, those businesses will be producing equal or better results than Emirates because we have a very strong franchise in the domestic market.
Well, Emirates' most recent profit margin was 1.7%. If Qantas International earned that sort of margin, its profit would be $100 million, right?
It would, and as we said, you know, we do exceed our cost of capital in the domestic business. That business has not got the structural disadvantage that international has, or the issues around the Aussie dollar that international has. So we look at both businesses together in terms of what they need to get to return their cost of capital.
Now, how many flights will you be running into Europe under your brand and how many under Emirates? And specifically, will you keep your Heathrow slots?
Yes, we are. So we have 2 flights a day to London that go through Singapore today. From the 1st of April, subject to regulatory approval, they will move to Dubai, still go through to London, but in Dubai they'll connect with Emirates' network to 33 destinations across Europe, including, you know, A380 services to 7 destinations, and the Qantas code will appear on that.
So how many services will you drop and transfer to Emirates?
We exit from the Frankfurt service, which is a big loss maker, but this is all about long-term growth, because what we're talking to Emirates about is when the 787s come for Qantas in 2016, how Qantas can use those aircraft through Dubai to start flying back to continental Europe. And we think there's great opportunities for us in the future to not only secure the jobs we have today, but also to actually grow our operation into continental Europe.
Isn't the most important point that it allows you to concentrate on Asia and reconfigure your network there so that it suits Asia rather than just being a stopover on the way to Europe?
It's a great point, Alan, and that's a real problem and dilemma we have, because we had 2 equal problems, the European issue and Asia. And Asia was subsidiary to the kangaroo route in some ways, as we've been saying. So we were designing our schedules to Asia to connect to Europe, and that was actually losing the local Asian market. So for example, from Sydney to Singapore, we have 2 flights going very close together that are connecting into Europe. Now we're freed up to put those 2 flights at different timings to serve the local market, to connect to our partners in Asia, and to improve our proposition to Asia.
Wouldn't it be fair to say that without this deal with Emirates, Qantas International was going absolutely nowhere?
Well, I think Qantas to Europe and to Asia would have had problems around this deal with Emirates. We still have a great proposition to South America, North America, and to Africa and places like Japan. But you're absolutely right. This deal is very important for Qantas to be a viable competitor to Europe and to Asia, and we've made that very clear that we had to fix those 2 problems.
But you couldn't shut down your loss-making international division because you need it to serve the corporate market domestically, don't you?
Well, you were absolutely right on it, Alan. We know that our international business is very important to our domestic and frequent flyer business, so we've always said that we needed to fix it. That's why we gave ourselves that target. That's why we've been going through this 4-pillar strategy with the huge transformation that the business has been undergoing to get that business back to break even and then to a profit.
So what are your lawyers telling you are the odds that it'll be knocked back by the ACCC?
We believe that this is a very solid case for showing that the net detriments, there's no net detriments out of this, that this is going to be positive for competition. You know, we're already seeing the competition react to this with the rumours that were out there. We'll have competition adding more capacity, reacting to Qantas and Emirates working together. We have 28 carriers overall operating on the Kangaroo route into Europe. There's huge competition out there. This enhances competition. It allows us to be competitive in this market against what other carriers are doing. And I think there's huge positive benefits in frequent flyers, in scheduling into Asia, scheduling on the Trans-Tasman that will be taking the ACCC through. It's a process we have to do with a number of regulators. We don't take it for granted. We know the regulators have to review it, but we think there's a very strong case for approval of this alliance.
Thanks for joining us, Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks. Good to talk to you again.